Ysel asks Loki what will happen if the master doesn't change. But after getting this horse statue, Han thinks that is impossible. And he asks Ysel when the next time he can use the internet is, but is told that depends on how fast the intervention points are collected. Han questions what that even means, and it is explained that this is the technology that Mobius uses to mess with cause and effect. When a master logs in, it creates an intervention point, and the points build up faster the more one climbs the tower. And what can impact this as well is gems. Han is surprised that real money had this much impact, and Ysel even tells him that cash is best. If you bring some to the headquarters, you get a 1% bonus. Han doesn't seem interested and walks outside to greet his party, and he tells them that it's time to go, as Party 1 becomes ready to fight. Han asks his party if they're excited to get back into battle, but Yavolka doesn't seem too happy. Eren still questions if they will go out as 4 people, but Han tells him not to worry about that, as Edith is temporarily moved to Party 1. She comes in and asks Han what's going on, and after she is caught up, Party 2 becomes ready to fight as well. The rift opens and Edith tells Han that she won't help him for too long, as the group prepares to enter the 8th floor. It's time to show off the fruit of their training, as they are up against 27 level 9 goblin riders. Yavolka casts her new spell, Invert, and most of the goblins lose their footing as they float in the air. Jenna starts sniping the goblins one by one, and Yavolka follows up with Ignite, burning them alive. Han notices that Yavolka shortened her cast time from 40 to 10 seconds. Her progress is amazing. Han begins slicing up as well, and the stage is cleared. Edith wonders why she was even called, and Eren and Yavolka level up. Han thinks that Jenna can shoot much faster now, and he can rely on her to watch his back. And Yavolka is also becoming a lot more reliable with controlling her magic. The group exits and Han drags the mage with him. There's much he needs her to do. They go to the research lab and the master gets a notification. There's a member available for research. Yavolka questions why she was even brought here, but Han tells her that she doesn't need to physically exert herself. She just needs to do some research. We see a pop-up screen showing the 3 options the master can choose: hero, facility, and dungeon, and Yavolka is recommended as the researcher. The master accepts and Ysel pops out of nowhere, scaring the shit out of the poor mage. Ysel just tells her to get used to it and points to the desk in the room. All Yavolka needs to do is solve problems and put the paper in the container. Yavolka looks at the first problem and it just reminds her of all the stuff she learned in Magic Academy, and is dreading having to do more homework. But Ysel tells her that she has no choice. Han picks up a book but still can't read a thing, and Yavolka begins her work, and 1 research point is earned. The current research speed is 10 gems per hour, and Han notices that is a very bad rate. The master sets a research time, and Yavolka is ordered to do 3 hours per day. Despite her cries, she immediately expresses her discontent. But Han has an idea, and asks for Ysel to request a gift, a fur coat. 3,000 gold is spent, and it appears Yavolka is in love, and changes her entire tune. This must be her down payment. Han tries to take it from her, but she loves it way too much to part ways. Some time passes and the master continues to prepare for the 15th floor. He sent members into the weekday dungeons and had the craftsmen continue to make better equipment. Party 3 has been made of mostly newcomers, and the master has definitely changed. Han is still sitting next to Yavolka, and she just starts some conversation saying that she's good at magic theories and thinks Han is talented, and asks the hero if he wants to learn magic. Han questions what she means, and she says normally it would be hard for her to teach him herself, but with the books in here, he could gain some new skills. Han thinks that at 2 stars his class is still beginner, and at 3 stars he can choose a new one, and on his current trajectory he's going to become a warrior. But if he can do some special conditions, he can become one of the secret classes, the Magic Swordsman. But just because it's a hidden class doesn't mean it's strong, and declines her offer. He just wants to focus on one thing at a time. Han just mocks Yavolka for wanting to teach him so he can help her solve these problems, but she just blushes, denying that thought. She sighs and changes the topic and asks Han how life was before coming here, and he says he was just a simple farmer. But even Yavolka doesn't believe him. Han knows that this girl is the daughter of a renowned family, a family that was ruined due to the war. But all of a sudden, interrupting his thought, a lightning bolt hits the research building. Yavolka is shocked, but Han seems to be prepared. The research is complete and hero reaction is now level 1. The goddess has blessed the waiting room, as blue orbs travel into each hero. One enters Yavolka, startling her, and Han explains that there's 3 options in research. Whatever chose to unlock the hero reaction research with 30 points. The mage is confused and she doesn't feel well, but Han tells her to say that window. She does, and a window appears showing her level and attributes. Han explains what this even is, and Party 3 failed the 15th floor because they could not see the system and couldn't find the objective. This research makes it possible for every hero to see. Yuvoka begins reading her skills and Han tells her to come with. They should go and tell everybody. He steps outside and Eren is seen running away from a blue light thinking it's a ghost, but Han grabs him holding him still as the blue light enters his body. He gets a little moment of pleasure and pause, and Jenna approaches already understanding the stat screen. Han is impressed and we time skip to later that evening. Han is sitting with his party as they talk about this new trait that they have, and Yuvoka asks Han how he even knew about this, but he just says he found out just like them, but no one is convinced. But Jenna just takes his side saying that Han was here before all of them, and he has a lot of experience, but Yuvoka is still suspicious. She sighs and tells Han to keep his secrets to himself. His advice so far has been helpful. Jenna continues to praise Han and the two girls begin to argue. And man, I'm getting jealous again. Every MC has this amazing problem. Han thinks to himself that if they survive this game, he will tell them everything. But if it comes to that, he's gonna have to say goodbye. The next day comes and the info on the stat window is now shared to everybody as you see Roderick and Edith taking a look. But not everyone could see the entire stat window because the research is still low. We shift to the training grounds and Jenna is firing at Han, annoyed that she can't get a single hit in, and she asks if that's a skill and Han says that it is. And he asks Jenna if she thinks there's a skill to counter the one he is using. She is interested and Han uses her hesitation to get behind her, ready to strike, but she ends up ducking down, asking if Han is trying to kill her. Han says it'll be fine as long as he doesn't one-shot her and to get her head back into the fight. She's only gonna level up in intense situations. He continues his assault and Jenna is dodging his strikes. She separates and draws an arrow and Han tells her that there is no rules. This is their new training method, to fight until someone is at death's door. Some villagers are looking at the fight shocked that Han really was just a farmer before this life. They think it has to be a lie and the two continue their fight. Han asks if the girl wants to surrender and he needs to train with Eren as well, and we shift to him saying that it's fine. We see that he fought Han 32 times and lost every single match, and Jenna fought Han 19 times and has only won once. They continue the duel and Han charges in, but right before he can get there, a dagger is thrown into his face, taking him off guard. We see a light shine in Jenna's eyes and she gets a skill awakening, weakness detection, and begins firing arrows that stagger Han back. He's confused, wondering how she just learned that skill, but Jenna says she thought of it just now. Han is impressed that she actually got a skill just from thinking about it and smiles, ready to continue the fight. An arrow is launched as Han barely moves his head to dodge. Jenna is now firing to make Han dodge and sending secondary shots towards his compromised location. Han is being pushed back and now the arrows are becoming way harder to move around. Jenna levels up her archery to 6 and Han notices that she is getting stronger, but he can't back down either. He blocks the barrage with his shield and the onlookers are shocked at this fight as Eren watches on, gripping his spear. So this is talent. Han is trying to close the distance but is having a difficult time. Wants to only use his shield in emergencies and needs the most stressful situations in order to level up. The barrage continues and one pierces Han's hair. He needs to predict the trajectory of the arrows, and now Han himself gets a skill awakening, insight, and he also levels up his throw defense to 3 and his swordsmanship to 7. He blocks everything and rushes in at Jenna, ending the duel, and this marks his 19th victory. Jenna thinks that he's a monster and the two check their stat panel. Han notices his new skills and Jenna asks what skills Eren has. He lists the few that he has and Jenna just makes him feel like complete shit, but Han tells Eren that he shouldn't worry about the number of skills. Sometimes they actually can hurt someone, depending on their synergy. But he thinks to himself that Jenna has 9 skills and is a top tier hero. We shift to the mage building and we see an item combination of a fire, water, and wind attribute stone to create a basic promotion stone. The master proceeds but the combination fails and he loses the materials. He tries again and it completes and he gets the promotion stone. Han thinks to himself on everyone's level and he is around level 12 now, and he thinks back on his own promotion. It was special since Tail decided to interfere, but assumes Jenna will see her pass just as he did. The hero's forgotten memories have awakened. Jenna transforms to 2 stars and she comes out depressed, having a similar dream. The forest she used to live in is on fire, but Han tells her that that was a fake dream and not to worry about it. But still, it does bother her. Han asks if she felt anything else and she says it was like a weight getting lifted off of her shoulders. He assumes that heroes are in a state of amnesia and only around the 4 or 5 stars do they really realize the truth of why they were summoned here, the truth of their world. Eren was next to be promoted and he too reached 2 stars, and after this promotion he was more driven to train. Han leaves the grounds and Eren asks where he's going, but Han says he has something to do, but reminds Eren not to overtrain. He's gonna ruin himself. Han activates Berserk and strikes the dummy as Eren watches, but Han is not satisfied with his own power. He thinks his technique is not finished, When he activates the ability, he becomes stronger, but he loses efficiency and composure. If he can get these two skills to synergize, he will become even more powerful. Edith watches Han training and Han asks why she's here, but she asks him about his party. They are made up of people who had no combat experience and coldly asks Han if he has ever killed someone before. Han asks if she is questioning his determination and she agrees. Han is here at the cost of other people's lives, the ones that were synthesized into him. She should have already known the answer. She looks down and thinks that that is true and remembers that his plot killed the 4 remaining members of the pulverizing wolves. Han turns to continue training, angry at this insult, and all he had to do in this bullshit game is kill monsters. But Edith says that Han is different than his party. It seems like he remembers. Han tells her that he's just like them and not to worry, and we time skip to the next day, and Party 1 is being taken onto another mission. They wonder if it's the 11th floor again, but Han notices that it's actually the 12th. Han tells Jenna to fight as she's been doing, and the group is transported to the 12th floor, and the quest is subjugation. This time, a voice screams at them to stop, and it's 13 level 11 human soldiers. They're asking for their name and identity, and the group is entirely confused, and Edith looks worried. The group is confused by their new enemy, but Han looks determined. Eren protests that these aren't monsters and just normal people, and they should try to get some information. Han understands his feelings and wanted to avoid a situation like this, but he knows they won't be able to survive this raid unless they kill these men. These are different than normal NPCs. They can see and interact with the heroes. They are enemies. Han orders his party to raise their weapons, but nobody wants to fight other humans. Han raises his sword, asking them if they will try and stop him instead. The situation is tense, but Han allows Eren to try and speak with the soldiers. Eren says he wishes to speak and the enemy soldiers agree, but ask Eren to come closer while their spears are still raised. Eren looks at his spear and places it on the ground, but Han grabs his own man. He can't just listen to everything they say, and yells for the soldiers to do the same. The soldiers don't want to drop their weapons at first, which causes anger in Han, but after some conversation between them, the soldiers drop their spears and hope to talk this out. Everyone drops their weapons and the leader approaches, hoping to have a proper discussion, but says that he can hear a voice endlessly inside of his mind, and he can't stop it. And that voice is saying, even now. Han knows what is about to happen as the veins of the soldier begin to turn black, and he turns into a wicked fiend, taking his dagger out trying to kill Eren. The voice tells him to kill everyone. Han knew something like this was bound to happen. Heroes who were hesitant to attack were always annihilated. He grabs his sword ready to intercept and pierces a soldier. Jenna is shocked, but Han throws a dagger, hitting another soldier with a crossbow. Han says no matter who they face or how they look, the only thing that greets them in these floors are enemies, as another crossbowman is hit in the head by, this time, Edith's dagger. Eren's still standing completely shocked, but Han asks if he still wants to talk. It's kill or be killed. Eren regains his composure ready to fight, and Jenna does the same. They made up their mind and Yavolka begins her cast. The type of enemy doesn't matter. The most important thing in creating a party isn't strength, but mentality. A wave of human soldiers rush in, and Han prepares his party to face them. The fight begins, and Edith notices that these guys are not normal, as her and Han are slashing them down. Han calls for Yavolka, and she casts Ignite, engulfing dozens of men in her flames. Jenna and Eren continue their assault through the fire, and Han vertically slashes another soldier. He notes that the soldiers have good armor, but no organization. One of the men begs on the floor to be spared. He has a wife and daughter. He needs to return. But Han just asks the man plainly how he plans to return, and he screams and is put out of his misery. Edith thinks that these people have been brainwashed, but has never seen it done on this big of a scale. The group notices that the blood of these humans is black and thick. Han inspects and thinks to himself that it's similar to Tails. There's too little proof and he can't say much yet, but the stage is cleared and Jenna and Edith level up. And the party returns. Han tells his group to get used to these type of battles. Eren wonders if Han means to get used to murdering people, and he is exactly right. There is no difference in this game between humans and monsters. And as expected, there were human form monsters on the 14th and 15th floor. The equipment and number of people and formations were all different, but one thing was the same: their unnatural hostility towards the heroes. This helped them kill without hesitation though, but fighting these type of enemies builds stress faster. But the master did seem to notice this and gave the party some extra time to rest, and after a few days the group leveled up enough to attempt the 15th floor. Yavolka and Edith don't gain as much XP due to their high ranks, and that's the only drawback with getting 3 stars so early. The equipment workshop produced a new item, a leather pouch, and Han was able to carry more items, and he is equipped with a couple health potions. Ysel tells Han to be careful since those are expensive, but Ysel herself drops one, making Han give her a death stare. Yasel begins to scream, blaming the master, but they shift back to the group. Everyone now has 3 health potions, and Yavolka has 2 mana pots. Yasel tells him to listen to Han, and that's the only way to survive. And finally, they will attempt the 15th floor. Han has no idea what kind of quest it will be, but doesn't think it's a chain quest like the 10th. They will need to do what they've always done. Han thinks to himself that his total stats is 107, and he's comparable to an advanced 3-star. And he has been here for 2 months and hasn't taken a single break. The master begins using the recording feature, and Han notices it, and is slightly impressed. Even though the master can't interact with the mission, this will change in higher floors. Han tells the group that this floor will be a special mission, just like the 10th. Party 3 died within 5 minutes and didn't even get a chance to fight. It's because they didn't know the objective. Han's first goal is to find out what they need to do and what the quest type is and make sure not to fail. They have about 15 minutes to do this, and based on what happened to Party 3, a mistake can mean all of their deaths. Han thinks that time flows differently inside of the floors, and taking that into account, he came up with 15 minutes, due to the clues that he knows. He assumes that this floor is a time-sensitive mission. The rift opens and they have 10 seconds to get ready. Han turns back and tells the group that they have 3 minutes to gather information, and they are transported to another city that seems to be bustling with life. But yet again, the humans can't see them, and it's unusually peaceful. Han sees a notification and it's a guard-type mission. Protect a certain person. Han sweats, and the quest wants them to protect someone among this crowd. Han thinks that Party 3 must have been shocked after seeing this crowd, and without knowing the mission, their first thought must have been to kill civilians. Either 2 things could have happened. They killed the person they were supposed to protect, or they were attacked by enemies. If they don't want to die the same way, they need to find the quest NPC, and fast. Han tells his party the goal of this stage, which confuses Jenna. Han asks if anyone knows where they are, and Aaron does. He came here as a merchant. It has many interconnected roads, and was a trade capital. Han asks if there's any noteworthy people, and Aaron says there is in the temple in the middle of the city, that is used for worshipping the goddess, and it's a famous white cathedral. Jenna gets excited, but Han asks if Aaron thinks these people are heading there now. Aaron thinks that some sort of event is going on, and Han orders Edith to assist him. They will go to the temple. Edith dashes off to the tallest point and sees the cathedral, towering over the other buildings. Han approaches the guards, who try and tell him that he can't enter, but the poor guy is met with a knee to the face, knocking him out. Before Moron Guard 2 can blow his whistle, Han hits him with his shield. Aaron is confused, but Han just tells him to think about it. These guys can see them. It means they are the enemy. The cavalry NPCs and other soldiers on the 10th floor couldn't interact with the heroes, but suddenly these guards can? Something is wrong. He tells his party not to worry, he didn't kill them, and this part of the city is crowded. Han asks Aaron if they arrived at the hall, and he says that they have. On a balcony, an old priest begins walking towards the large group of people, and they wait in anticipation. The priest slams his stick down, grabbing everyone's attention, and casts a large-scale spell, ordering everyone to be quiet. Yavolka notices it and tells Han that it's magic amplification. Han tells the group that they have no time and they need to get inside of that temple. For an event like this to happen on this floor, it must mean that they need to protect a main character of the story. The group approaches, but the guards protest yet again, but Han doesn't have time to waste like this to die. Han asks the guards to move away from that door, unless they want to die. The guard asks if they are heretics, and Han just laughs, kicking down the goddess statue. A warning appears, and now the guards are hostile, rushing in at the group. Yavolka just sighs, and Han asks his party if any of them believe in God. But the only thing they believe in now is themselves. The human soldiers rush in at them with axes in hand, and Han and Aaron will deal with these men. The rest will go forward. Han dodges a strike, piercing a guard through the face, and he parries a blow with his shield. He cuts another man in two and rushes at the third soldier, hitting him with a heavy blow in the stomach. The captain orders his men to protect the temple as Han continues his assault. Jenna starts firing as well, and the group continues forward, trying to find the person they are meant to protect. There's a few minutes left. They need to hurry. Han enters the cathedral. Han yells for Yavolka, and she casts Invert, removing all of the debris from the room. A priest asks how these heretics got in here, but Han notices no change in the quest text, so it can't be him. He spots a passageway, but the soldiers rush into the room. He orders his group to handle the incoming enemies, while he goes to find the NPC. A soldier tries to chase after Han, but is smacked on the head. Han thinks that the old priest also wasn't the target, so he needs to move fast. He races up the stairs and sees a knight at the top, who is the world's longest introduction. Han just runs right past him before he can finish, hurting the pride of Sir Jerkoff. Han starts kicking down doors, desperately trying to find his target, as the knight keeps chasing him. It seems not everyone can see him, and Han knows that he has less than 3 minutes to find his target. He bursts through another door and sees a beautiful garden, but interrupting his view stands 3 elite knights, ready to strike down the heretic. We shift back to the balcony and a princess is seen talking to the old priest, who informs her that there is an intruder. We shift back to Han's fight and he is desperately holding out against the 3 adversaries. Blood stains the flowers and these knights are on a different level than regular soldiers. One smacks down on Han's shield, but he slashes at his ankle. He wraps around his back, dealing a finishing blow to the crippled knight. 2 more to go. He blocks another strike and throws his shield at the other knight. He takes his sword and pierces the face of the second knight, which was pretty savage, and now he is one-on-one with the leader. The two send a barrage of strikes at each other, but neither gain any ground. Han gathers his energy, and with a sword in either hand, he slashes them together at the knight. One of Han's swords breaks, but he doesn't relent, and decapitates the knight captain. We shift back to the princess, who thanks the priest for his help, and she won't forget his loyalty. But all of a sudden, Han enters the balcony, and the priest cries out, but Han is confused. The priest prepares an ominous red spell, Die. But he's not aiming for Han, he's aiming for the princess. Han wastes no time and rushes in, removing the head from this corrupted priest. The beam continues firing, but it misses the princess, but unfortunately it destroys a building and rubble falls all over the citizens. Han looks over the dead body, confused on what the hell is even going on, but the princess turns around, asking who Han even is. He tells her that she doesn't need to know, which frightens her. And come on, Han, this is obviously the person you gotta protect, you can be a little nicer. She questions if he is an assassin here to kill her, but Han grabs her head, shielding her from more incoming attacks. Han cuts down the arrows meant to pierce the princess, and now she starts to catch on. He orders her to stay down as 3 hooded figures appear. One pulls out some daggers and throws them at the princess. Han intercepts and notices that the daggers are poisoned. They are desperately trying to kill the princess. One lunges out, but Edith snipes him from a nearby rooftop. Han rushes in, taking care of the second assassin, but a third appears from his blind side. He throws a spinning shuriken, but Han blocks it with his shield and slices the remaining assassin. Edith says that the wall she was on was way too high and asks about who this kid is. The princess also wants to know who these people are and for them to go away, but an arrow interrupts her thoughts and asks if she's really sure about that, because if they leave, she will die. He tells her to follow them or she can stay here. She thinks about it for a second, but has no choice, and a special NPC joins the party. The mission objective has been cleared and a new one appears. Their objective is now to escape. Han knew it wouldn't be that easy and grabs a crossbow. He will keep the enemies at bay. The rest of Party 1 appears, alerting Han to the soldiers that are gathered at the cathedral. He tells them to memorize this kid's face, and this is the one that they need to protect. She says she isn't a kid, but Yavoka seems to know who she is. Han interrupts everyone, saying that identities don't matter. He ties a rope and orders everyone to take it down. It will secure an escape route. Edith has already thought about this and says the left path has the least resistance and the best route. Han orders his members to go that way and tells the group the order of who goes down first. Han tells Yavoka to cast a firewall, blocking the path for the enemies. She does just that and the group begins climbing down. Han grabs the princess and tells her that it's time to go, and jumps onto the rope. Arrows barely miss her head as she grabs on to Han desperately. They reach the bottom and Han tells the girl to let go already, and looks up to see Yavoka slowly descending. He yells at her to hurry up, and Eren is busy holding the front line, but a dagger pierces his side. The notification hits Han and he realizes that he has little time. He calls out to Eren, but the man yells back that he's okay. Yavoka finally lands and Han knows that they have the target. They need to get out of this field to clear the mission. He orders the party to go left as the soldiers chase. They call the princess a witch, alerting her to this betrayal. A knight turns the corner, but Han one-shots him and continues moving forward. Soldiers appear from the other side, but Edith calls to Han to continue another way. As they run, Yavoka casts a spell to secure their back. They reach the secluded area and Edith signals the party to rest shortly. The princess falls to her knees and Han thinks that Yavoka's wall won't last long. It'll be bad if they're surrounded here. He pulls a health potion and looks towards Eren and realizes that he has been poisoned, and the pain won't stop despite how many health potions he's drank. Han knows that his time is limited and looks towards the princess, asking if she has any skills. This is their only hope to save Eren. Sometimes a special NPC can contribute to the party. She apologizes and says she doesn't have any, and Han understands. Eren is poisoned and the most time he has is about 10 minutes, and they don't have an antidote, and no NPC can heal him. Eren tells Han to leave him behind. He gets up and wants to go stall for time, but Han grabs his face. Jenna wants everyone to survive, reminiscing on the journey the three have been on since the start. Eren curses his own weakness and Han thinks on the situation. The princess is already a burden, and carrying Eren might be too much to handle. He drinks a health pot and throws Eren another, telling him to drink it. Eren tells him that it won't help, but Han tells him to drink it anyways. It will stop him from getting worse. Han orders everyone to give their health potions to Eren, telling him to drink one every 10 minutes. Eren thinks this is a waste, but it's a direct order from Han. They will divide up the party, and the first group will be Edith, Han, and the child, and party 2 will be Eren, Yavolka, and Jenna. Each will protect their own member until the princess can escape. Han says the enemy is only after the princess, and if Jenna takes the group in the opposite direction, she should be able to find a safe exit. Eren tries to protest, but Han tells him to shut up. Edith says that this plan is too reckless. They might not be able to protect the princess with just the two of them. Han says that they will take a different approach, and they need to escape. They will infiltrate the crowd and escape in the cover of night. They will wait until nightfall to begin their plan, and since they have a new strategy, they don't need to fight head on, and will go forward using stealth. And since they're not fighting a massive enemies, Yavolka can use her magic to distract the soldiers' attention. And Jenna will be with that party for added protection. Eren apologizes again, but Han tells him to shut it. He's not keeping him alive for his sake. He tells the two girls that if push comes to shove, they should just abandon him. Their lives are worth more. The break is over and it's time to move. Party 1 goes left and party 2 goes right. Han asks Edith if she spotted any hiding places, and she says that there's quite a few. They can maneuver inside the buildings. This startles Han since he didn't think the buildings were accessible. This floor seems to be different from the ones before. Party 1 is maneuvering through the slums and a homeless man approaches the princess, asking if she's lost, but Edith just breaks his leg and tells the group to move on. A tip appears telling the master that long-term missions can take place, and even if he logs out, the heroes will continue working. He thinks the kid that he is protecting is also oddly calm. She can't be any ordinary child. She quickly realized the situation and was hardly panicked. Han's group finds a place to hide in to wait until it's dark out, and Edith leaves to go set traps. The princess sits back and Han looks at Edith. She reassures him that she will be right back. She needs to find the path out. Han sits and wonders if he should have switched with Jenna. There isn't much that he can do here. But the girl introduces herself as Phrysis, the second successor of the Empire, and asks where Han came from. But he just says that that's none of her business. She demands to know, but even if Han told her, she wouldn't understand. She asks if he came from a place that she doesn't know about, and that's technically half right. But the next sentence hits Han. The princess asks if he was the soldier that saved Nelsa. Han wonders if that city was the 10th floor, and he overheard NPCs saying something along those lines. Phrysis sees his reactions and confirms her suspicions. She saw it in her dreams. There were soldiers fighting hard to protect the city, but she couldn't see their faces, and Nelsa's survivors said that a group of people protected them, and if they didn't come, the city would have fell. But no one could see who they were. It was an ominous dream, and she also saw the empire burn and the continent on fire. And these dreams made her certain that the world was going to end. Mysterious monsters are invading, and Nelsa fell victim to that. Usually they don't invade human territory. Han just wonders why she is telling him this, but the princess says that she needs power. Power to save the world. Han asks if she wants his help, and he lays back in his chair and wonders why she needs him. She must have some incredible power. There should be knights ready to support her. The girl just sighs and says that her lineage is meaningless. She has nothing, and no one listens or obeys her. Han tells her that if she has money, she can just hire some mercenaries. The princess scrambles, telling Han that she'll pay him, and she might not have power, but she does have money. But Han casually tells her to look for someone else. She tightens her grip, and no one has ever believed her about her dreams, and no one ever listens. But Han is different. He didn't laugh at her story, and that's why she wants to hire him. Han thinks that this is annoying, and based on what he knows, this is 10 years past. And even if he wanted to help, it wouldn't work out. This child is just an NPC, and after they're done this mission, he doesn't even know if they will meet again. Is that a no? She asks. Han says that he has his reason, and she might even laugh at them, and tells the girl that he's from a different world. She asks what he means, but Han thinks it's okay to spill the beans. It's not like it's his game. He tells her that he's from a shitty place, and he's here on a mission. The world he is from gives them missions, and if he can't complete them, he will die. And today's mission was to protect a special someone. And after not knowing who it was, he realized that it was her. The princess is confused, asking what he means, and Han confirms her thoughts. When they are done here, they will return to their world, and that's why he can't help. The girl wonders if he is lying, but Han doesn't care if she believes him or not. She decides to put her trust in these warriors from another world, and she doesn't laugh at his story, since Han didn't laugh at hers. And she is sure that he has his reasons and won't bother him anymore, and will continue worrying about her job. Han asks what her job is, and it's to prevent her dreams from becoming a reality. Han asks if she was the one who called everyone to the square, and she did in fact. She wanted to give a speech, and Han asks what for, and the goal was to gain influence. In this moment, she has no power compared to her brother. Han thinks that if they didn't arrive, she would have surely died. If there is a meaning to this game, then that means the princess is an NPC worth saving. Han formally tells the girl his name, and she smiles softly. She thanks Han for what he did, but they're not done yet. Han asks why people are so hell-bent on killing her, but she doesn't know. He throws her a rag and tells her to wear it. She's sticking out like a sore thumb. She questions on what to do, but Han urges her to change and leaves the room. He can hear her, and it sounds like she is crying, and she's only 15 at this point, and anyone in her position would do the same. Her life hasn't been easy. She puts on simple clothes, and she says the texture is weird. Han says that he's sure it is. Some bugs were laying eggs on it, startling the princess, but he tells her he was only joking. They will leave in a couple hours and tells her to get some sleep. Han knows if something happens to Eren, they will get a notification, and he hopes that he can hold out a little bit longer. Time passes and Han thinks that he talked way too much. Edith comes back and says that she found an exit, but there's a small problem. There is 22 knights blocking the path. Han thinks that this is way too many for them to deal with, and Edith questions if they should try to find another gate. Han thinks that they have no choice, and he could manage himself, but protecting the princess could prove difficult. And the knight captain is level 21, which is 5 more levels than most of the knights he has dealt with so far. He has no choice. He asks Edith if she knows where Jenna's party is. She doesn't, but Han asks if she knows the layout of the city. There's a dress and crown back at the shelter, and he wants her to make Jenna put it on and use her as bait. According to Edith's info, they can't leave another way. They could try something else, but they're running out of time. If Jenna can disguise herself and lure out the soldiers towards her, they will be able to complete the mission. Edith goes to do her task, and Han leaves his shield behind. He doesn't want to take a risk of it reflecting light. He tells the girl to stay inside. In 1 hour, they will escape. And when he gives her the signal, she has to run, even if Han dies. There's no turning back. She tries to argue, but agrees. She assumes that this is their last moment together, and the two lock eyes. We shift to party 2, and Yavolka is tending to Eren, but he's in bad shape. Jenna is begging for this to end, and Edith grabs a disguise, and Han vows to leave this city before dawn. Han thinks that his plan should work, but a notification appears that Eren is inflicted with a deadly poison. His HP will slowly be lost. His condition is worsening. Han begins to move, and he needs to work fast. If the forces gather around Party 2, they will attract the enemies. But while they're protecting Eren, it will be quite the task. But there's no other option. If they don't end this quickly, they could all die. Han gets a skill awakening, covert movement, and we shift back to Party 2. Edith brings the clothes and tells Jenna to change. Han is happy with his new skill as he approaches the guards, and there's 22 enemies here. He doesn't know how many will leave when Jenna starts her act. Worst case scenario, he will have to kill them all. For now, he will wait for the signal. And all of a sudden, a huge firestorm is created in the center of the city, and all the guards are panicking. They talk to the captain, and most of their troops move to intercept. Now, only 4 knights remain, but the level 21 knight is still here. This is concerning, but it's more manageable. Han needs to work as fast as he can, and within 1 second, he chops 2 guards to pieces. And within the next few seconds, he easily handles the remaining low-level guards, severing their heads from their body. Han stares at the knight captain, telling him to move if he wants to live. He draws his sword, and Han thinks that this is bad. His armor is strong. He won't be able to slice through it. He needs to aim for the gaps inside of it. There's no time to waste. He needs to go. Han rushes in, and the knight easily parries, sending him back. The two send a barrage of strikes, but the knight isn't budging. And he's also not attacking Han. Han purposefully left openings for the knight to exploit, but he's only defended that spot. It's almost like he knows that he will win if he stalls for time. A notification appears that Jenna is bleeding, and Eren is on the brink of death. The knight laughs, and Han enters state. He rushes at him, and now Yavolka is in a state of mana frenzy. There's no time. Han tells the kid to run, and he kicks the knight, sending him back, but he rushes in at the princess. Han intercepts his strike, but all of a sudden, an assassin appears, throwing a poison dagger at the princess. Han shielded her from it, but now it pierces him instead, and he's poisoned. He tells her not to stop, and to continue running, and the whole party is in a critical condition. Han spits up blood, but the knight doesn't relent, and charges back into him. The knight sends power into his legs and strikes Han, causing him to cough up more blood. And if it wasn't for Han's armor, his ribs would have been shattered. But thankfully, He did just as much damage back as he plunged a dagger into the knight's eye. He asks if it hurts, and now Edith is bleeding. There's no time. Han charges in again, taking the dagger out of the knight's face and throws it at the assassin, killing him. The knight tries to swing on Han, but he leaps over the attack and he drop kicks the knight into the ground. Before he can regain his composure, Han stands over him, and with his devilish aura, he ends the duel. The princess exits the castle when Han unleashes his strike, breaking the knight's face, and he stumbles back. The poison is spreading fast. He coughs up more blood and thinks that this is bullshit. He sees the girl exit and he says goodbye. He feels so tired. It looks like this is it. His body begins to light up and we see the rest of the party also on death's door. But as the princess runs farther from the city, a light envelops everyone and the stage is cleared. And the MVP is Han. Everyone levels up and Jenna yells that she thought that she was gonna die and yells at Han. He made her wear that dress and run around. Han just laughs, mocking her. What, he didn't like it? It looked expensive. So what? No one died. Jenna falls to the floor, telling him that that's not the issue. The recording is complete and Han tells everyone, good job. They cleared the stage and the master disconnects. And Han tells Edith that she was the true MVP, and none of this would have been done without her. She smiles, but now it's time for her to go back to her party. She has done her part. Han thinks that he will miss her help. Her planning was elite. Yvoka yawns and wants to go rest, and she needs some sleep. Jenna grabs Aaron, telling him not to be sad. He was just unlucky. Aaron stands and apologizes to Han, but Han just reminds him that now he is awake. He won't save him a second time. Aaron asks if that's a promise. Do you intend on taking me to the top of this damn tower? Aaron curses himself again, saying he is much weaker, and the gap between him and the others grows every day. He can't live up to the rest of the party. So? Han asks. Aaron just walks past him, apologizing again, and he was just saying nonsense. Han thinks to himself that it was true the group struggled more than they needed to because of Aaron, and if he wasn't injured, it would have went smoother. Aaron's current level is 14, and his level is the same, but his stat growth is much different. Jenna and Han's stats go up by 5 or 6 when they level, but Aaron's don't change. And it's even worse when it comes to skills. His proficiency is low, and he can't hold many skills. He's good at basic combat, but isn't good at utilizing strategies. They can manage for now, but the gap will continue to widen as time goes on, and in the end, he'll be left out, or die in a mission. There isn't much left for him in Party 1. Han didn't abandon him because they were friends. He hasn't become irrational. If he can't keep up, he'll be left behind. Nighttime comes and Yvoka is so excited. Han is enforcing them to run, while threatening them that he will only feed them potatoes. Han doesn't see a reason to make a training schedule, and he wants to reward something like a little holiday, for like 3 days. The master won't call them to combat for some time. Han asks Jenna and Aaron what they will do, but they don't feel comfortable unless they train. Han begins to run and attaches 10-kilogram weights to his ankles. If he doesn't do at least this, he won't get tired at all. His peak physical ability has been reached. Is this the effect of the intervention power Ysel talked about? After Han gave whatever the guide, the atmosphere changed in the waiting room. Low-rank heroes were always on edge and they finally started to relax, since whatever wasn't synthesizing them. They didn't need to compete with each other. A man spits on the floor next to Han and Han wants to know what these bozos want. The man says it doesn't matter who Han was. He needs to prove his use, if he wants to live. Or, that was what he was told. This got him excited. This might be a place where anything is possible. He enjoyed fighting with life on the line. But what about now? All he can hear is laughter of those lesser than livestock. This is Belkist, also one of the second generations. A little odd, but has trained relentlessly, and also has amazing talent. And by his side is Nerissa. Belkist draws his sword, tired of the calm environment, and he wants to educate the weak, and asks Han for permission to do so. Han tells him not to act out of line, but Belkist says it'll be fine as long as he doesn't kill anyone. Han turns around with his menacing aura and Belkist calms down, and asks if Han was lying. Does proving one's worth not mean anything? This great synthesis I heard about? It hasn't been used once. Han tells the man that he will know soon enough. Just go do your work. He turns and leaves and looks forward to seeing it. Han's rule of thumb was using synthesis with caution. When he operated Niflheim and posted his guide, many tried, but all failed. Fear is the easiest way to control the waiting room. Without synthesis, the heroes won't listen to the master. They become lazy and defy orders. It's similar to the situation now. There is many lazy heroes not contributing much. He turns to see Enoch back from a dungeon and wonders if something happened. He asks why he went in there all by himself, and is told that no one is doing any work. They only tossed a few branches and lazed around in the forest. Now, thanks to this info, Han knows what to do. A few months ago, people had no choice but to work, but now they stroll around thinking this is some sort of joke. Enoch asks if the world has gotten better, and Han thinks that the master should notice what's going on. The daily dungeons and training are not going well. The operational efficiency is declining. There are two solutions. One, mass synthesis, but if he misuses this tactic, the stress level will skyrocket. Solution 2 is motivating the heroes with something else than fear. We shift to the research building and whatever researches facility improvement. He spends 150 points and it levels up to 1. And more buildings are available for construction. And now the master can edit detailed functions of certain buildings. The facility customizer is an option that allows the master to change certain buildings in the waiting room. Han looks up and smiles. There's gonna be a party soon. Eren approaches asking to spar with Han, and Han mentions that Eren just finished sparring with Edith. He won't last a second in that shape. Eren says he's fine, but Han doesn't agree with Eren's reckless training. But the master calls for all the heroes. They appear in the square and Ysel pops up telling everybody to get ready. If everyone's not here, there will be trouble. Ysel orders everyone into the storage room and tells them they might disappear if they're caught up in it. Everyone is confused, but Ysel tells them that they are doing a mass renovation. The waiting room begins to shake and the construction begins. The residence has been upgraded to level 3 as well as the training grounds. And Jenna remembers his feeling from before. The residence levels up and Edith is confused. But Jenna laughs mockingly. She is new after all. Also, a bathhouse, lounge, and cafeteria were all constructed. And with all of this, the town square levels up to 3. Han smiles telling Eren it's not what he's been expecting. Senna tells everyone not to worry, the master is just upgrading the new buildings. Everyone gets really excited and Ysel tells them that they can come out. And they're all completely shocked. The lobby is changed into a modern town. Some buildings, and now the waiting room has more floors. All the buildings are complete and Jenna is excited to check the bathhouse. We see a new 3-floored building and people enter and are completely taken aback. There's nothing in the first level. No sofas, fireplaces, not even beds. Jenna wonders how this could have happened, but Han knows why. He tells her to look towards the stairs and they go up and Jenna enters the second floor and sees fully furnished rooms completely in awe of her new accommodations. Now there is a clear divide between those who live on the first floor and those on the second. Everyone wonders how the master will assign rooms and the perks on the second floor even include a daily bath. Everyone is arguing at each other and Edith just has a headache from all of this commotion. The citizens are fighting over spots, but Ysel tells them that the assignment is very important. The master begins dividing up the areas and he decides the fates of all 35 people. Ysel gathers all the information and applies the changes. Party 1 with 4 people are all allowed on the second floor, and they choose their rooms first. Same thing goes for Party 2. All the craftsmen and cooks also get to live on the second floor, which makes Chloe smile. And everyone outside of that is on the first floor. The regular people are outraged, and Party 3 comes back, wanting to know what is going on. The angry people start telling them what happened, and Jenna whispers to Han. She thinks that this is a bit strange. Han doesn't agree, but Jenna is concerned with only having 13 people on the second floor. The people are yelling and screaming, and Party 3 questions if they too are on the first floor. Up until now, all the heroes have lived similar lives, and all the rewards have been the same. And typically, this method is fine as long as you have a few heroes and use synthesis often. When you want to expand the waiting room, separation is needed. Ivolka explains that this is like aristocrats and peasants, and she actually likes this. She didn't like how the regular heroes were acting. Han explains that Jenna trains all day and goes on hunts. Do you think any of these people do the same? Ivolka agrees that most of the people here are pretty much useless, and Edith chimes in wondering if the master is assigning ranks. The masses continue to protest and we are introduced to the facility customization. This feature was only used to decorate the lobby a bit in the start of the game, until masters realized that the heroes are very similar to humans. Whatever just created a 3D model of Han's beginner version of Niflheim. There are some disadvantages, but this is the simplest way to do it, to decrease the use of synthesis. Ysel begins to get angry at these lazy peons and smacks the floor, leaving a crater behind. She yells at these fake heroes who are so entitled. A month ago, they would have all been synthesized. They don't know how lucky they even are. Their protest seems to come to an end, and after seeing Ysel's display of power, she tells Chloe and Amarin that they will continue to only cook for the people in the second floor. One of the first floor residents asks what they are meant to eat, but Ysel doesn't care. Figure that out. Also, the first floor is banned from eating meat. There are potatoes in the pantry. Another man says this is some bullshit and they aren't even getting beds and can only eat potatoes. Veins bulge in his head, asking who has the right to treat him like this. He won't take it. But Ysel calmly asks what he's gonna do about it. He doesn't answer and Belkis charges in, seemingly at Ysel, but he cuts off the arm of the man protesting, saying it's fine as long as he doesn't kill him. I don't care who you are, or where you are from. Show your use if you want to live. Those were Han's words to all of the newcomers. A hero is talking to Belkist, reiterating those words, telling him to follow the rules strictly, and don't bother party 1 and 2. Belkist thinks for a moment, and he just saw them train and reckons in a little while he'll be able to take that errand guy, and asks how strong Han really is. The man isn't sure and he was never in the party, but he has heard rumors from Jenna. She tells them a lot of things about the adventures that they have. Belkist wants to know if the man witnessed synthesis, but he has not. The master stopped for a while, and that is the reason why he is still even here. Belkist thinks on it a second, realizing that one can get stronger in each battle, and gain skills the more that they train. And currently Han is the leader. He smiles and thanks the man for this info, and the guy tries to tell him his name, but Belkist coldly tells him that he's not interested. We shift back to the present, and Ysel coldly looks at this psycho, and he twirls his sword around, saying he's heard of the battles of Party 1 and 2, and is a little jealous. He couldn't be a part of any of it. But now it doesn't look like proving your worth matters anymore. From what he heard, there was a really good system to get rid of trash, but for some reason, the master doesn't use it. Belkist throws the arm back at the man, telling him that he can reattach it if he wants. You wouldn't know about that. You've never experienced death. These words send chills to the rest of the lazy heroes. He came back from an interesting event, and he really likes this world a lot, but is feeling quite bored. So does anyone want their arms removed? And the heroes start to curse this crazy man, but Belkist says he'd rather be crazy than a useless pig. And this guy's starting to grow on me a little bit. Han appears asking why Belkist intervened like that, but the man says that he was so disgusted his body moved on reflex. Han thinks this man is lucky to only have his arm cut off, and if he continued, Ysel would have killed him. Ysel asks if Belkist knows he's on the first floor, and he gets it. The first floor is a shithole, and the second floor is luxurious. He turns to leave but says that he'll be moving up soon enough. Ysel sums up that out of 35 heroes, only 13 are allowed on the second floor. The second floor people can use all of the facilities freely, and the first floor cannot. If someone is found breaking these rules, they will die. You gotta get better and earn your spot to be able to relax. Ysel points at Han and says he's the perfect role model. His genius techniques cleared the 15th floor. Han grabs her by the cheek and finishes her statement, telling the group to show off their skills if they want to live a good life. The master is watching. If he deems you worthy, you will be sent to the second floor. The group just gives the same BS excuse that they were taken here against their will, and it's not fair. Belkist draws his sword again, but Han looks at him. That's enough. Belkist yields, and Han says that he too was dragged here, and it was actually worse when himself and Jenna arrived. They didn't even have food, and one mistake meant synthesis. They didn't train every day because they liked it. The group assumes that Han is asking them to fight like him, and that's actually exactly what he is saying. There isn't a big need for support roles at the moment. Right now, only combat roles who show talent will make it to the second floor. Half of the people accepted this, and the other half is in denial. It could be worse, but at least there is a clear hierarchy for a system transition. You either need to summon more heroes or go about it gradually. There's always bound to be resistance, as another man screams that this is bullshit. They won't fight if they're being treated like garbage, and he won't accept this. Belkist chimes in that they don't even fight when they're well fed, and the man has a small crowd behind him, sweating profusely, but says that he knows the secret that Han is hiding. He knows how to change the master's mind. The master can't put his hands on us, and he is convinced that Han has been hiding this fact all along. He won't stand here and risk his life to fight monsters. That's insane. Some people gather behind him, and now Shaitan and two parties are inoperable. A massive strike is ensuing, and Han grabs his sword. And 10 people are refusing to fight. They don't know their place. Han kicks the sword in the man's direction and tells the group that for punishment they will cut off one arm each with that sword. And just like the man over there, if they do so, Han will let them live. The protesters' hearts sink, asking if Han has lost his mind. Han just laughs. If words don't work, then he will have to show him instead. The man regains his composure and says that they already know that they can refuse the master's orders. And technically, they're not wrong. Heroes have a right to obey or disobey. Ysel can't put a hand on you except for special circumstances. Edith tells these people to stop this, and they only did that when their lives were at stake. She tries to reason, but Han stops her, saying that she has a good attitude. The band continues, but Ysel orders Valen and Leslie to enter the synthesis chamber. Belkist is intrigued, wondering if this is synthesis. He is told that it is, and now the two men that are about to die are in shock. Ysel tells them that there is no time. Why are you guys acting surprised? First time seeing it? What are you going to do? Han laughs, saying how funny these protesters are, trying to fight a meaningless battle. Jenna scratches her head. They should have paid more attention. It's been a while since synthesis actually happened, but now they're about to experience this fear again. The two men are dragged into the chamber and the master approves. Belkis smiles at Alan. Nice to meet you again, friend. Light flashes and the two men are disintegrated, and Belkis has a wicked smile. I'm sorry I won't be able to ask you anything now. And the synthesis is complete. Belkis levels up and learns a new skill. He walks out of the chamber with a devilish aura, saying how good he feels. And this isn't enough. He needs more offerings. Han tells the man that it's enough. His turn is over. Belkis says that that's a shame, and now Nerissa is called, with Oliver and Walter. Walter protests since he worked hard, and that was a mistake. Not Walter, Alter, and the young man next to him was called instead. He grabs the leader saying that he lied. He told him nothing would happen. The man now knows the result of his actions, as Alter is being dragged away to his death. He protests that he was lied to, and he would have acted out if he knew. Ysel doesn't care, and the two men are synthesized into Nerissa, and she levels up. After seeing 4 people killed, Party 4's leader takes back his refusal, but now Jenna is called with Lawrence. The man screams saying he will stop, and why are they still doing this? But Han sits and knows that this has to be done, to show the others what happens when you rebel. This is better than having synthesis as the main operator. Fear is always necessary, in some instances. Edith is called now, and Ladell is the man who will be synthesized into her. He begs for mercy, telling Han to talk to the master, and Han tells the man that if he cuts off his own arm, he will do that. He said earlier that this would be an expensive lesson. Ladell freezes in fear, and Shaitan says there's no way they can cut off their arms. That's too harsh. Han asks what's wrong with his request. Is an arm worth more than your life? Ladell asks Han to do it, but he refuses. The man screams if Han wants him to die, and Han says that's actually not such a bad idea. These guys have earned their fate. Han can't be nice to them for the sake of the future. If someone is determined enough to cut off a limb, Han will consider keeping them around. Of course, cutting off an arm isn't easy. A few people tried, but none succeeded. In order to cut off a limb in one try, you need swordsmanship skills related or a high strength stat. Otherwise, you need to hack it off. Citan is now on the floor and he is called with Han. Han tells him that it's just them now, and the synthesis is complete. Han thinks that nothing happened, but his stats went up. Now, only 25 heroes remain. Someone yells at the fighting heroes, telling them that they are out of their mind. Belkis wants to see who said that, but Han tells him to leave it. Belkis thinks that there's still a lesson to teach, but Han tells him not to be angry. It's over, for now. Belkis doesn't understand why Han is so calm. He could have destroyed them. He turns to leave and tells Han that he will see him on the second floor. The master begins summoning again, and the machine fires up. And Han thinks from now on, the location of summons will be different based on ranks. The free gacha heroes will appear on the first floor, and the paid ones will appear on the second. Soon, that thing will begin. At least 2 will die here, and only a minority will make it to the second floor. Han tells his party not to relax, they could be downgraded at any time. Han says that in the future, a 3rd floor will be built, and so on, and even their ranks will be divided. The next day, Party 1 wakes up enjoying their new accommodations, and Jenna says that breakfast is really good. Han sits beside her, saying of course it is. Not so many people are eating, and Chloe's cooking skills have improved. Han looks out the window, and he can overlook all the facilities from here, and so can the people on the first floor. This should act as motivation for them to try harder. Han goes out to see Eren training, asking how long he's even slept, and Eren says only 3 hours. Han tells him that that's ridiculous, and we find out the newest change to the training grounds made it to where there's individual training areas, as well as a dual center. You can now lock the doors while training, so Han can use his Berserker skill without worry. The dual center nullifies the fast regen heroes normally have, so people can duel with real-life conditions, and if someone is seriously injured, they need to be pulled out quick. The waiting room has improved, but now Party 1 needs to improve as well. Right now, there's still a remaining slot in Party 1 and 2. Velkist and Nerissa are the best candidates, but Velkist is barbaric and has no fear. But he's talented. The skill he learned yesterday is very rare. It's a passive that changes status effects like rage into strength. So if you combine this with a status inflicting skill, he can get an amazing synergy. Nerissa falls behind him and she is cold and calm. She is good with stealth and info collection and has great potential. The rest are pretty useless. Velkis looks over at Han, signaling him to calm down. Han approaches and Velkis asks for him to teach him some new moves. His training partners are all pigs afraid of the blade. Han asks why the man doesn't like pigs and dogs. They're all beasts in the end. The two flare up their auras and lock eyes and begin their duel. The first strike sends shockwaves between the two swordsmen. Han dodges the next 2 slashes and gives Belkis a heavy kick to the stomach. The man coughs up blood but is smiling, loving the heat of the battle. His expression turns demonic and rushes back in at Han. He parries his strikes, thinking to himself that he doesn't even need to use Berserk in this duel, but down the line, he might have to. We shift to the next day and Party 1 is called. Ivolka comes first, asking what the fairy wants and why are they going out to a dungeon. Han says that that's probably not the case since they are down a member, but the master ordered an exploration. Hivoka didn't think that this was possible in this part of the week, and Han thinks that 3 options are always available. Exploration Dungeon opened ever since they cleared the 10th floor, but they're only now checking it out. His cell opens a rift, but Jenna questions why they can't use the gate they have next to them. Is this exploration thing even necessary? Eren asks. And Han tells him that it really isn't, and it will take a lot of time, maybe 1 or 2 days. That will translate to even more time inside of the waiting room. Hivoka questions why they're even being sent away for so long, but Han just tells her that she will see. The master is prompted to give the heroes an allowance to make their exploration easier, and each member is given 3,000 gold. Everyone is happy with their gold coins and the dungeon unlocks. They begin the mission and will return in 2 days. The party is transported and they are back in Nelsa. Jenna figures out where they are and is curious to why there is no fire or destruction. A lot of people died when they came here, yet it looks like a bustling city. Hivoka doesn't even want to question it, and Eren asks what they need to do. Han tells the group that they probably don't need to fight and they should just go take a look around. Unlike main dungeons, exploration ones do not have a clear goal, and sometimes they can bring back amazing items and other times they can bring back nothing. And now the NPCs are able to see our heroes. The guard asks for an entry permit, but Han hands him a gold piece, asking if that will suffice. Another guard happily accepts this bribe and tells the group not to cause any issues. Jenna thinks that these guards are good for nothing, but money is excellent for this type of thing. Before they came to Nelsa, the city was absolutely destroyed, but now there is no trace of the fight. The group asks Han what kind of info they should look for, and Han tells them to do whatever they feel like doing. They are perplexed, but Han angrily repeats himself, "Go do whatever you want. The master gave you guys money, go get some food and look around." Hivoka and Jenna get closer, trying to confirm Han's words. Does he really mean it? They can take a break? Han agrees that he will take care of the important stuff, and Hivoka nervously walks away, saying Han shouldn't regret what he just said. She'll leave the city. Han says that that's fine, and there will be no more breaks once they clear the 20th floor, so go have at it. The party gets excited and Jenna wants to go with Han, but Han looks around and strangely sees a lot of mercenaries, and on a nearby wall sees a wanted poster for the princess that he saved. They charged her with heresy, demon summoning, and even rape. They just listed every crime that they could think of. Han just laughs at this, but a small kid approaches, asking if he is after the witch too. He can have big dreams, but it won't work. The whole nation is after her, but no one has found a clue. Han asks if this kid is calling the princess a witch, and he says that apparently the princess took out the hearts of babies and sacrificed them, and she used banned dark magic. Han wants to hear more, but this boy says that he is quite busy. Han hands him a gold coin, which makes him rethink his whole attitude. He has all the time in the world now. He tells Han the princess's name, but she got her last name removed. Han asks how long this has been going on for, and the boy confirms his thoughts. Han thinks that a year has passed since he completed the 15th floor. It hasn't even been a week for him though. He's also seen the seal of the wanted poster too. It's the same symbol of the knights that he killed earlier. Putting all this together, the group of people are targeting the princess. She must be alive somewhere. Han asks if any monsters invaded this city and is told that that happened 2 years ago. But thankfully they got through that ordeal. Rumor has it that the witch herself caused the invasion, since monsters usually don't group up like that. Han thinks that they're really pinning everything on the princess and asks if there's anything else. And the boy tells him that there was a disease and monsters became wild and the weather has been getting colder. But the most noteworthy things are dungeons. This grabs Han's attention, and a few years ago, a bunch of places that resemble historical sites popped up in the world, and people have been calling them dungeons, and they're really weird. Ordinary people can't enter and only a specific group can go in. Another rumor says that at the end of these dungeons is a special stone that can grant power. Han catches on and thinks that this can only be one thing, an advent stone, a source of the hero's third ability, imprinting. Han assumes that there must be one here too, and the boy is surprised that he knew that. Han picked it up based on the amount of mercenaries he sees around. Han smiles and looks at the boy. A gold for talking isn't worth it, huh? How about you guide me to this dungeon? Han sees a man being carried out of the dungeon missing an arm. This is why the kid didn't want to come. Next to the temple at the center of the city is a dungeon that appeared after the invasion. The stairway is the entrance, and Han doesn't think it looks like much. But so many people wouldn't be standing guard if it wasn't. All kinds of treasures can be found inside, but most people don't make it out in one piece. The only way people can get into the dungeon is with an entry permit, and the city takes a percentage of the treasure someone finds inside. The kid thinks that he has done enough for that gold coin and asks to leave. But if Han has any more questions, he can always ask. Han asks how he can find him, but he runs off saying that that's Han's problem. Han turns back and thinks about the equipment people are bringing. They must plan to stay for more than a few days. Han will have to come back after he reassembles his party, and all the mercenaries are looking around in anxiety. No one is actually going in. It seems most of the people can't pass the gate. and after watching it for half an hour, it seems less than 10% of anyone can actually enter this dungeon, and if the leader can enter, his party can come with. Han is sure that he will be able to cross it, and the kid ends up coming back. Han asks why he returned so soon, and apparently the gold that he was given is worth way more than he thought. Han won't give him any more, but the kid wants to give a service for free. He thinks the witch has been slandered by the order, but before he can continue, Han cuts him off. He doesn't need to know anymore. He offers to be a city guide and take Han to all the good places to eat, but Han tries to refuse, asking why the kid is still bothering him. But the reason he won't leave him alone is because Han reminds him of his little brother. Han turns around asking what he means, and the boy says that Han must be from the east. There was someone young that hung around with a group of kids that looks exactly like Han, black hair and eyes, and the reason he even talked to Han was because of this resemblance. The kid tries to say the name, but Han tells him not to. The kid continues that the name wasn't that unique, but Han tells him to just guide him to a jeweler. Han approaches the shop and sees Jenna inside. Jenna questions who this kid following Han is, and she just bought a longbow, and apparently she can upgrade it for 2 more gold. Han takes one glance at the D-rank fancy longbow and tells Jenna that it's trash. He tells her to buy something a little bit more valuable, like the stones over there. Jenna is surprised to see elemental stones, and Han thinks the master would be pleased if they returned with some of these. Jenna is reluctant about returning her bow, but Han tells her to. What they will be getting is a regenerative stone. This stone is an item that allows one to experience boss stages that have been cleared already. It doesn't award experience, but the group will really be able to experience the mission. Han buys it ready to leave, and Jenna asks him again about the kid following him. Han pretends not to know who this is, despite the boy's cries. His name is Josh, and he is Han's tour guide. He has a secret investment plan, and Han throws Josh another gold coin, telling him that his job here is done. The boy lights up with excitement, thanking Han for his investment. Han doesn't want to know about the business, but Josh vows to pay him back, and offers any other service that Han wants. Han doesn't want anything else, but just tells Josh to help the witch if he ever comes across her. He leaves, leaving Josh stunned, and Jenna asks who the witch is. Han gets her up to date and tells her that there's still a lot of time. They can look around. The evening comes and Yavolka complains that she couldn't go to the beach. Han wonders if she really tried, and it seems there's a border around the area they're allowed to travel. The more floors they complete, the more they can travel. The group returns to the waiting room and sees a lot more heroes around. They ask how much time has passed, and Han says it was about a week. Jenna notices that there is a new assistant in the workshop and is excited to start training again. Yavolka is dreading it, but Jenna takes her to the bathhouse. Han asks Eren where he is going and he should rest. Why are you so stubborn? Do you want to destroy your body? Eren tries to argue, but Han tells him tomorrow they will train, and thinks there was a lot of people in Niflheim, just like Eren, but most of them did not have good outcomes, and not everything is possible through hard work. If they cannot catch their goals by just effort, it means they lack talent, and should put their uses towards something else, or worst case, die in a mission. A fight is heard in the training grounds. Edith is training Ursher, telling him that he's too slow. Han and Jenna watch, impressed at the intensity, but something has changed. Dika is not present. A notification pops up, changing hero loggings, displaying blueprints. The master drags Velkest and Nerissa to the second floor. Han notices that the newbies are now here as Velkest walk up. Han draws his sword, and it seems that it's time for them to get new party members. Jenna wonders if she should go get the straws, and Han wonders if whatever is planning something. Han welcomes the two to the second floor, and apparently, Dika was downgraded to the first, since he couldn't kill the human monsters. There are fewer members now, and Edith's party is only 3 people, making it harder to advance. This is why Edith's party is training harder, so maybe the master will do an advanced summon. Edith doesn't think he will, and back to the present, smiles at Han, asking what's wrong with his stare. Nerissa asks if they're going to join party 1 and 2, and Han agrees. Nerissa immediately asks to join Han's party. Velkest is annoyed, telling Nerissa to know her place, but the girl thinks that she has other useful skills than just combat. Han approaches, saying they don't get to choose who joins. The master does. Jenna wonders why Nerissa wants to join so badly, but Han doesn't know. Nerissa said the rumors must be exaggerated, but she saw them for herself. Han thinks that the master must have used the regenerative stone. This stone was used to re-clear missions, but whatever used it to show a replay of the mission to these two. Nerissa is in awe of how great Han is, and it's only natural she wants to be in the party with him. But what about party 2? Edith asks. Nerissa just dismisses this, and she just prefers Han's group. Ursher curses the newbies, but Velkest says his opinion doesn't matter. It's survival of the fittest. Velkest also wants to join party 1, and swears he'll be more useful than Nerissa. Nerissa knows their luck-based methods to choose party members, but thinks they should try something a little different. Everyone has a suggestion, but they agree that Han should decide. Han is torn since Edith's party is missing 2 people, and Jenna tells him that no one would complain if he makes a decision. He thinks to himself that normally he would choose Velkest, but his shitty personality stands in the way. He tells the two that both of them think they're worthy, so they should fight to see who gets to join. Han can't pick unless he sees their abilities in the dueling arena. Healing doesn't work, so fight until one of you surrenders. Velkist enters, never backing down from a fight, asking if it's okay to kill Nerissa. Only if you can, Han says coldly. Han tells him to fight however they see fit. Nerissa pulls out a bottle of poison, making Velkast worried. She coats her weapon with a paralysis poison, and her skills are all related to some sort of poison. And this is the first time she has used it against a human. Velkast smiles and draws his blade, and the two request a duel. They begin as Han watches outside, and the duel starts and Velkast rushes in. But Nerissa prepares a barrage of stabs. He dodges them all and swings at Nerissa, but she manages to parry. The two continue and Ursher yells that Velkast is fighting way different from when they were sparring. But Edith tells her teammate that now this man is using his full power. Han tells the group to watch closely. They might learn something. Both have weapon techniques at around 4, just like Ursher, but have different ideologies when it comes to combat. Nerissa dodges a strike and sends a wide slash that Velkast ducks under. Han notices Nerissa is utilizing her movement, and Yvolka appears, chiming in as well. But Han just asks where the hell she came from, and the two continue. As Nerissa charges in, she pulls a dagger from her back. She throws it at Velkast, but he barely turns his head. But he got scratched with the dagger, infecting him with the poison, and is slowly losing health. The paralysis effect kicks in and Nerissa thinks she won. But in her hesitation, Velkast rushes in, punching her in the stomach with the hilt of his sword, sending her into the cage. Velkast says he can't move right thanks to this bitch, but he won, and looks towards Han, and asks if he has any complaints. Han makes up his mind, and Nerissa is the one who will join his party, which makes him question Han with anger. Jenna is excited, and Edith and Ursher are surprised. The only ones who really understood what happened were those with a higher level. The fight had a good ending, and Nerissa pushed herself into a corner, on purpose to make Velkast lower his guard. The double dagger technique was all for deceit. It was to get in one attack, but Velkast trusted his own ability and kept pushing. Velkast asks Han to repeat what he said, but Han keeps his original answer. Han explains that his group is made of a swordsman, mage, spearman, and archer. All 4 are combat based. They need Nerissa to be able to gather intel. Han thought Velkast would be a lot stronger to compromise, but he was a mistake. Velkast argues that he only got damaged due to a dirty trick. And honestly guys, I would have loved to see Velkast in Party 1. Han says the man is talented, but not needed, and asks if he wants to fight. He will take him on, if he can last at least a minute. Velkast smiles and asks to trade places with a different member, and points at Aaron, the obvious weak link of the party. He's watched all the fights, and it was interesting, one person didn't fit in. Aaron will just drag them down. Jenna protests that Aaron is doing just fine, and for him to shut it, but Aaron says nothing. Han tells everyone to be quiet, and he agrees that Aaron isn't absolutely needed, and they could change formations. But that's if the swordsman is stronger than their spearman. Aaron stands with his spear drawn, ready to challenge Velkast. Everyone is in Velkast to stand on his words. Aaron has been here longer than him, and is surprised Velkast is even challenging him. The man accepts and agrees to join Party 2 if he loses. Han looks towards Aaron and asks if he wants to accept, and it's about time. Han thinks that Aaron is pushing himself too hard, and at this rate, it won't end well, if he keeps down this path. But Aaron still has a lot of time. He has been with Han for too long, and he can still fulfill a role for the next coming floors. In order to overcome the situation, Han needs to see Aaron's determination. Aaron's eyes glow, and he accepts the challenge. Velkast smiles and the terms are written. Both sides agree and the door shuts. They stand opposite each other and begin their fight. Jenna is surprised that Aaron even agreed, but Han knows that this will be good for the spearman. He has a chance to win, if he believes in his training. Both have weapon skills of 4, but Velkast has a few more passives. But Aaron overall has the advantage in experience. Velkast swings in, but Aaron intercepts and smacks his chin with the spear. Velkast smiles and the duel is heating up. Aaron is determined to win, and he has fought for his life for months on end. And this guy only just got here. Velkast has never even fought a boss monster. Aaron continues to push back, and spearmen have an advantage in melee combat. Velkast manages to dodge a thrust, but Aaron swings his spear, smacking his back, and continues his assault. He smacks down on Velkast, and Ursher is loving seeing his senpai own this newbie. Spears have been used for a long time in wars, hunting, and have always proven useful. And thanks to the distances they can cover, they were effective in large-scale battles. But they proved to be useless in one-on-one battles. There is about a meter difference in a maximum range between a spear and a sword. It is definitely an advantage in some cases, but there's nothing a spearman can really do to react against quick slashes. They prove to be useless even against dagger attacks, and do not have as much range as a bow or an arrow. But this is when you're talking about humans. In a place where humans regularly transcend their limits, this logic doesn't apply. Ursher is loving what he's seeing, and Aaron continues his assault. He takes his spear back, ready to swing on Velkast. Velkast manages to jump over and does an acrobatic leap out of range. Han thinks that Velkast had to be talented before coming here. and he instantly accepted the situation as soon as he was brought here. And Eren has dueled Han hundreds of times. He is used to fighting people better than him. A swordman and a spearman have different combat tactics. Jenna is worried looking on and thinks that Eren is doing well, but he's not fighting like himself. Ivolka wants to know what she's talking about. It looks like he's winning, but Jenna tells her to look closer. The number of attacks that Eren is landing is starting to go down. Velkest is adjusting and Edith chimes in as well. The man kneels down, saying this fight is getting boring. Eren's techniques are precise, but very straightforward. His disadvantage is that his strikes are easy to read, and Vest has a sharp eye. Considering the fact that he saw through Nerissa's attack, he definitely has good observational skills, and he might obtain a skill called the Mind's Eye. The two get close in each other's faces, and Velkus asks if Eren is playing around. The two disengage, and Velkus asks why Eren is going easy on him. Why are you underestimating me? Eren remains quiet, but Velkus says that Party 1 fights each other in training with the intent of killing, but this is different. What's the reason that Eren is not attacking Velkus' weak points? Han has noticed this as well, calling Eren soft, and thinks to himself, Eren's spearmanship is easy to read, but Velkus adjusts fast. There's only one thing Eren could do. He tells the spearman, since when did you consider the life of your opponent? Are you that strong that you can go easy on someone else? Show me what you got. A sweat beads down Eren's face, and Velkus smiles. He twirls his spear, telling Velkus not to be mad at him if he ends up dying. Velkus smiles, ready to go back into the heat of the battle, and the two's auras flare up. Eren grips his spear and charges right in at Velkus. A stab barely misses his face, and it seems Eren is speeding up. The strikes are becoming too fast for Velkus to deal with. Eren takes his low stance and runs towards Velkus, but Velkus barely manages to jump over it. The stabs keep continuing, and Velkus is getting used to it again, dodging them in quick succession. Eren winds back his spear to send a wide slash, but Velkus dodges under. The spear ends up breaking the dueling arena. Some time passes, but after blood staining the arena, it seems that Eren is the one who lost. After a drawn-out battle, Velkus is the one who stands the victor. Ursher is completely shocked, asking what trick Velkus played. He had to do something cowardly. He tries to argue, but Roderick tells him that that's enough. Velkus has won the duel, and Ivolka thinks that Eren was gonna win. It's really weird. Jenna has the same thought, but in one attack, Eren lost. Just one attack. Han thinks that it's hard to describe. Velkus just doesn't have good senses. Something else is here. As the fight went on, he read every attack that Eren threw at him, and it's certain, and over time he'd started taking less and less attacks. As the fight went on, Velkus had the advantage. He waited for a chance to turn the tables, and in one attack was all he needed to win. And when his opportunity arose, he took it without a second of hesitation. He possesses a cold logic and observational skills. He uses methods that require patience. Velkus says that it's quite a shame. It would have been more fun if Eren didn't go easy from the start. Eren grips his bleeding shoulder, saying that he agrees. Nerissa chimes in that she's dissatisfied with the results, but she didn't think that Eren is ready. Han understands the meaning of this duel and will keep his promise. Velkus will join Party 1, and Eren is out. Han suggests a different party formation, and now the new Party 1 is made. The Master agrees, and now Eren is without a party.